And a second on Canada, if I may. President Trump's tone when it comes to Canada-U.S. relations, Canadians have noticed it's shifted a bit in the past few weeks. Ever since the election campaign started, he stopped talking about Canada becoming the 51st state, at least publicly. I'm wondering if that's on purpose and why.
CBC went there for Carolyn to answer it that way. I'm watching Carolyn Levitt today at her press briefing because I watch every single one live. CBC pops up. And I'm like, what are you doing there? My mind went straight to, you're trying to do something about the election. There's no reason for you to be there. There's no reason for you to fly there, go there, drive there, and ask Carolyn Levitt a question. One reason. You're trying to alter the Canadian election. This is what I automatically thought. And guess what? CBC thinks they did. Slimy. These guys are slimy. I'm going to show you the interaction between CBC and Carolyn Levitt. A lot of Canadians, this is what they believed. Carney had a call with Trump. Trump, he hasn't mentioned it. He hasn't mentioned the fact, he hasn't threatened Canada. He hasn't said the words 51st state. He's making a big difference with Trump. The only person who can get through to Trump is Carney. Canada, I'm going to ask you something. What has Carney done since he's been prime minister? What's he done? Remember when he told us what he was going to do on his first day?
Mr. Carney, days later, you become prime minister. What's your first move?
Well, I'll pick up on a few things. First, entirely agree with what Karina just said. First item, I would call it a First Ministers meeting as opposed to Council of Federations, but First Ministers meeting, sharing the plan, but also developing our broader response, our broader domestic response, including project. Secondly, entirely agree with Christian. Dollar for dollar tariffs, maximum impact on the United States, minimal impact here in Canada. Thirdly, put them on notice on the broader aspects of our commercial relationship. We are their largest supplier of energy. We are their largest supplier of electricity. We are their largest supplier of uranium. I could go on, but I will exhaust all my time. There is the first signs in the United States now of the economic impact of the Trump policies. We will amplify that, and that will begin to create the leverage. And then I will call President Trump.
And then you'll call President Trump.
Well, it's going to be a long day.
Okay, Mr. Carney.
He's going to speak to Trump on his very first day. It took a very long time for him to speak to Trump. You want to know what he did on his first day? He tried to dress up like a tough guy and instead look like a Canadian doofus. The guy's done nothing. Nothing. I don't even know what he talks about. What has he done? Nothing. Could you imagine getting the chance of maybe being prime minister for a few days and you do nothing? That's got to be a record. He can't speak. It's And when he does speak, it's all in circles. I don't understand it. I don't know what you're talking about. Couple of things here. In summarization, Foursquare. Here it is. The pricks from CBC. Little Mama. She's going to ask a question. Why is she there, guys? Why all of a sudden, after all this time, she shows up? Why does CBC show up? Even Carolyn Levitt's like, who the hell are you, woman?
Sure.
On tariffs, yesterday in the Oval Office...
Which outlet are you with?
The Canadian Public Broadcaster.
Oh, nice to see you.
Thank you.
Is it? Why? I don't even know how she got in there. But if they invited me, I'm not going to ask a question about the Canadian election. Because they might say something, Carolyn might say something, to totally skewer the election. And then I'm going to become a hated man. She first asks a BS question. She's not even interested. It's her second question that she really wants. That's why she's there.
Yesterday in the Oval Office...
Which outlet are you with?
Yeah,
the
who the hell
Canadian
are you?
Public Broadcaster.
Oh, nice to see you.
CBC.
Yesterday in the Oval Office, President Trump suggested that there could be some help for automakers. I'm wondering what that looks like. Is it tariff relief on the 25% tariffs that are in place right now, or the new tariffs that are coming up in May on auto parts? And a second on Canada, if I may. President Trump's tone when it comes to Canada-U.S. relations, Canadians have noticed it's shifted a bit in the past few weeks. Ever
Why?
since the election campaign started, he stopped talking about Canada becoming the 51st state, at least publicly. I'm wondering if that's on purpose and why.
I would reject the
Could you imagine if Levitt said, President Trump, he likes Carney. He likes him and he thinks he could work out a deal. He thinks he could work out. This backfired. This completely backfired. CBC disagrees with me.
First state, at least publicly. I'm wondering if that's on purpose and why.
I would reject the president's position on Canada has shifted.
That's right,
Perhaps he
stupid.
just hasn't been asked about Canada by questions from this group in the Oval Office, but they see him almost every day. But the president still maintains his position on Canada. The United States has been subsidizing Canada's national defense, and he believes that Canadians would benefit greatly from becoming the 51st state of the United States of America.
There you have
As
it.
for autos and auto parts, I don't have anything to read out for you there, but I think the point the president was making is flexibility, and he has flexibility when it comes to negotiations and talks, but ultimately his goal is
He still wants Canada to be. Oh, I won't interrupt.
in his fair trade deals that he is pursuing with many countries around the world is to put the American worker first. And we had automakers and auto workers here at the White House on Liberation Day who believe in this president and his negotiating ability to put them first and to bring those jobs back to the United States of America. And the president's been very clear about that in his conversations with the automakers as well.
CBC went there for Carolyn to answer it that way. This is what it tells me. Carney, you haven't done anything to change Trump's mind. You're a useless tit. If you couldn't change his mind before, then you're not going to be able to change his mind after, right? But CBC, they think they hit it out of the park. CBC did this on purpose. And this dipstick is going to tell you why, with a giggle.
What do you think, Kate? I mean, I don't know if this is what the Conservatives wanted to hear today from the White House, right? They're trying to focus it back on the issues that they want to campaign on, and this happens.
but there's
Oh, this happens. You did it! I don't think this goes against the Conservatives, Katie, or whatever the hell her name is. They did it. They wanted to do it. You hear the joy? Meddlers. But I want to play you a clip of what this black girl said. And I don't know her. I've never heard her before. But I agree with everything that she says here.
it brings back the headline. Who do you think is more apt
Not her.
to deal and navigate in the next 2-3 years with that
Polyev, of course.
that situation?
Listen to this lady here.
It's not something that I think anybody on the political front has forgotten about, but I do think it does, as Francois said, just kind of reiterate and entrench for people. Who are you looking for? Who is supposed to be the best leader? And it helps. I think it helps, whether it's Mark Carney, whether it's Pierre Poilievre, it helps them, frame their arguments about, okay, Donald Trump is still talking about Canada in this way, so therefore Mark Carney didn't get the job done.
This backfired. I know what you're trying to do, CBC, but it backfired. Mark Carney is a joke. We just had 10 years of Trudeau. He's the same thing. He wants zero emissions. We're not going to pump oil. We're not going to make Canada awesome. We're going to put people out of work. Every industry in Canada will be destroyed. And my kids will never, ever be able to buy a house in Canada. I bought a house in 2015 for $220,000. It's worth $700,000 right now. 2015. Remember that year? I buy a house in September 2015. He gets elected November 2015. And what happened to house prices? Straight through the roof. A graph, and look at the graphs, guys. And maybe I got one, I don't know. But through the roof. Because of that guy. And who's that guy? That guy's Carney. Canada, wake up. You're starting to worry me.